Hey, friends. Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to let you know that registration closes on Monday, April 1st for our Paris and Normandy trip. So this trip begins and ends in Paris. So we'll start early Monday, the 13th of May in Paris. We have a full day and a half of glorious excursions. You can see it all on the website, or you can message me for details. Then we will be taking the train to Normandy and be spending 4 glorious nights at Chateau Saint-Cyr. We have a beautiful excursion each day. All of your food, all of your accommodations, all of your ground transportation is all included. All of your fabulous celebratory beverages. Every detail has been attended to you with you in mind. And this is such a beautiful opportunity to hold space for yourself, to revisit a dream that has been in your heart and give it some water and sunshine and watch it grow. Each time I spend time in Paris or really anywhere in France, I come back a different person. I come back more empowered, more elevated, more clear on who I want to be and what I want to accomplish and who I want to invite into that beautiful high vibe vortex of goodness. And I would love to show you how I do that. I would love that for you as well. When I am in that beautiful country, when I am in that gorgeous city of Paris, I walk around every corner and see this beautiful architecture with this gorgeous carved stonework. And it's just one window on the corner of one building on one block in this beautiful city. And I am reminded that my dreams are not too big. And it is such a beautiful feeling. And I would love for you to have that feeling too. I would love to share that experience with you. So if you enjoy listening to this podcast, I can guarantee you that a trip with me to France is like this podcast all day long, every day. And it is dreamy and expansive and fabulous. And I would love to have you there with me. So go to the link in the show notes, or you can message me on Instagram or send me an email, hello@phineaswrighthouse.com. And let's make your plans to join me May 13th through the 18th in Paris and Normandy. Registration closes on Monday and April 1st. I cannot wait to play with you. Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Hey, friends, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you again so much for taking the time, for listening, for taking notes, for jotting down your takeaways and then sharing them with me through reviews for the podcast, through Instagram DMs, through emails, and even sometimes through sweet love notes that come to my actual mailbox. It's just such a gift and a joy to share this space with you and to be a part of each other's journeys. That's so beautiful. Thank you. I'm really just overwhelmed in the best way when I take a moment to really be present with that very large information. Like I am cheering you on. I am here for you, and I feel the vibrational match of this relationship, that you are cheering me on and that you are here for me too. And I am just filled with gratitude and appreciation. So thank you. Okay. I guess we can go home now. That was good. But let's hang out a little bit longer. I'm so excited to introduce you to a woman that I just met today. And like some of these interviews of late, we are getting to know the guest in real time together, you and I at the same time. So Jeanne Collins is an award-winning interior designer who left the corporate world behind to find her true self through design and internal reflection. Her firm, Jermar Designs, works with executives and entrepreneurs, focusing on projects that combine sophistication and balance with inner and outer wellness. She's the winner of the 2022 Lux Magazine Red Award. She was also recently nominated as an HGTV Designer of the Year. She chronicles her journey and the approach that changed her life and work in her memoir, 2 Feet In: Lessons from an All-In Life. We've had an amazing conversation. I'm so excited to share it with you. So grab that beverage of choice and sit back and enjoy this conversation with Jeanne Collins. Jeanne, I am so excited to have you here, to have just this time to get to know you in real time with my guests. However, the last 12 minutes, we have been so much to talk about. It's been so great. So I feel really, I'm eager. I'm anticipating the fabulous conversation we're about to have. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, Wendy, for having me. It is truly such a pleasure. And I already love your energy. I love the subject of your podcast, but I love your energy. So this is going to be really fun.
Thank you. I agree. So let's go ahead and start with the question that I ask all of our guests. And that is, how are you saying yes to yourself in this season?
Oh, I say yes to myself a lot. And
That's awesome.
It's not a selfish thing to do.
No.
I am saying yes to myself in so many different ways. So I'll give a couple examples. I decided to hire a nutritionist because I'm fairly thin. I'm in great shape. I work out every day. I've been a vegetarian and a vegan for the last 2 years. And all of a sudden in November, I started to gain weight and I couldn't lose the weight. And I wasn't doing anything drastically different in my life, right? I mean, it was the holidays, but it wasn't like I was having pizza and beer every night or anything like that. And I gained all this weight and I couldn't lose it on my own. And I was like, what is going on? And I'm 54 years old. And I was like, oh, this hormone thing, you got to be kidding me. Like, you give me a break here. And so I went and I hired a wellness coach and a nutritionist. And it has been such a fabulous journey for me because I'm doing it not only to try to better understand how my body is now working at this age, because it's obviously not the same as it was before, but also some education about, some more homeopathic, healthy teas, alternative ways for me to help my body without having to be taking prescription drugs and things like that, and trying to find supplements and things like that. So it's been incredibly informational and educational for me as well. And I like soak it up. You have to write in this journal every day about everything that you eat and everything that you do and what you're grateful for. And you're actually like all this stuff, which most people would think is such a pain. I get so excited to like walk on my walking pad for 20 minutes at my computer every day and like fill out all this information. So, that is just one example. And career wise, a whole lot that I'm doing to say yes to me because I want to expand my platform to be more of a lifestyle brand So I've given myself permission to invest in making that happen.
I'm obsessed.
So there you go.
I love it all. Okay, I have some
There you go.
questions.
Yeah.
What have you found? Because I'm 55 and word on the street is things change.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in what your nutritionist shared with you about what she thought the issue could be, and what are you finding surprising,
Yeah.
especially already making decisions to be a vegetarian, to be vegan, which, my word, like, what is left besides candy canes?
Yeah, I did that a few years ago. Yeah. So a few years ago, I did become vegetarian. I was a pescatarian to begin with. I hadn't eaten, red meat since I was about 18. But so a couple of years ago, I did a detox program and felt so good afterwards that I kept it up. And so I
Mm.
remained a vegetarian and mostly a vegan, quite honestly, a lot of the time. And I did that for over 2 years. And this go around, my first meeting with this woman, she looks at me and she goes, "What's the chance I can get you to eat fish again?" I'm like, "Pretty
Ooh.
strong, actually." And she's like, "You're not getting enough protein in your diet. You can't get enough protein in your diet. And I also have a food sensitivity to chickpeas, which, is a little
Mm.
bit hard, and to soy, also hard, right?"
Sure.
So she was like, "You are not getting enough protein in your diet, and we need to change how you eat." And I was like, "Okay, been there, done that." So I am on a 6-week elimination diet. And so no gluten, no dairy, no rice, no grains, no oats. Um,
I'm so
and
sorry for your loss.
no, you know what? But here's the really interesting thing. I feel so much better because I've added
That's
back
awesome.
fish, right? So I've added in fish. So I've been able to add stuff to what I eat. And she's up my protein in the morning so dramatically with the smoothie that has all kinds of vegetables in it. So we've like upped my fiber, we've upped my protein. That honestly, most of the time, if I have the smoothie in the morning or late morning, because I intermittent fast, I am actually not even hungry until dinner.
Oh,
And
wow.
I don't crave these things. Like I don't crave sugar anymore at all. I went on vacation. Everybody ate at the buffet for breakfast. I had absolutely no interest. I had my green smoothie. I was so good. I'm like, I don't even want any of that. Um, I do miss pizza a little bit, but it's not like I won't ever have it. I will. But when you start to feel really good and your body
Right.
responds really well and the swelling and the bloating goes down and your energy level goes up, it's been amazing. And the other drastic change, which I had always said I was never going to do, I love wine. Oh, I love wine. I just love it. It is
Same.
like love, 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 love wine. And she sat there and she looked at me and she was like, "So we're going to get down to one glass of wine a week." I was like, "You have got to be kidding me." Like, I love wine. How am I only get one glass of wine a week? Are you crazy? I love wine. I was like, I cut back to 4 days a week and thought I was doing really well here. And she's like, "It's the sugar in it." And she's like, "You
Mm.
can still drink. You just need to be drinking cleaner alcohol. So you have to be drinking vodka or tequila and do it with club soda and lime." And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to try it." And I went to Mexico with my daughter on vacation a week ago. And I came home loving tequila and soda.
Look at that.
And it's amazing. And I was like, I don't feel like I'm depriving myself.
Right.
I know I can drink wine if I want to. It's just better for me if I do it at lunch than if I do it at dinner. So learning these things about myself, about how, your body can digest these things better if you go to lunch and then I walk on a walking pad with my standing desk afterwards, my body can burn off the sugars or the gluten if I have bread at lunch much better than in dinner. And I was like, "Oh, that's so interesting, like to learn these things." And I'm like, I find I sleep better. Like everything is better. So it's not like I can't drink. I can still drink. I'm just drinking something different. And I found a way. And my mindset has kind of changed about it now where I'm like
Sure.
excited for my tequila and soda when I go out to dinner tonight. I'm like, "Oh, I'm excited. I get to try a new one because there are so many kinds. It's kind of like
Right.
wine, so many varieties." And part of it is totally a mindset shift of I'm not depriving myself. I'm just having a different choice. And that choice results in me feeling so much better and physically feeling better and mentally feeling better because I was in that, which you probably have this too, in that you get this frustration, I think, as a woman in our 50s of why is my body not responding the way I want my body to respond?
Yes.
Like, why? Why? Like, what is going on with you, body? I don't get you because I used to do this behavior and I got this result. And now that doesn't happen as we're getting older and our hormones change. It's like a whole new game. And the other challenging thing for us as women is we're all different. And so what
Right.
works for one person might not work for another. So it's like, who knows? You got to trial and error and figure it out. So that's what I've been doing. And I honestly feel great as a result. And I don't feel like I've deprived myself at all, because everything in moderation.
Right. And I think that's absolutely the key is you are experiencing a desirable result, which is
Right.
what gets us to do
To
anything.
do anything. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like if you exercise and you start to see muscles form and all of a sudden your exercising is a little more exciting,
Exactly.
but that's kind of especially for behaviors, and trying something new and also learning that you're not depriving yourself of something. It's having a mindset shift of, no, I'm just giving myself something else. I'm just switching. I'm switching one behavior for another behavior. And by doing that, the outcome is that much better. And I feel better about myself. And when you feel good about yourself, you have energy and you're excited and your energy levels raised and everything is better in life when that happens.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think that it's so, I mean, you've mentioned mindset, and I want to go to that topic as well. But I feel like even the journaling that you're doing and the paying attention is just giving you an opportunity to be really present with
Yes.
how do I took a sip of this, how do I feel in my body? I ate
Right.
this, how do I feel in my body? And really connecting it, because a
Yes.
lot of times I was just talking to a girlfriend that I went to visit in California a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about these behaviors of that are over, like the overeating or over drinking
Right.
or oversleeping or over compensating for something is a direct result of under feeling.
Right. Yes. You're
And it's
compensating for that. Correct.
right. And so just being very aware of, ooh, when I do this, this happens. And
Correct.
to not be able to necessarily put that together when you're just going through your day and taking care of
Right.
the 3,000 things that are your responsibility, that's why we come to the end of the day or go to get dressed the next day and our pants feel tight. Like,
Right.
what is happening? And
Right.
it's a really great question. What is
It is.
happening?
It
What
is.
what's
It is.
happening?
It's
Like,
hard to know what's happening.
right. And to have
And yeah.
curiosity about how we're going to find the answer. Like, I'm going to
Right.
ask myself, oh, Wendy, honey, what's happening? Right. Like, what are you
Right.
trying to tell me? Because I'm
Right.
clearly not
Because
listening.
clearly I'm not paying attention. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when to your point about being present, when you really can get present and in tune with your body, then you can notice those very subtle changes. And then I also have been much better at like recognizing my body. And if I'm tired, then take a nap, take a 30-minute nap.
Mhm.
Or if I'm tired, don't work out as hard, like really listening to my body. Am I hungry? Am I not hungry? Like really listening to what things are going on with my body because I'm more in tune with it, which has been, it's been just an eye opening, interesting experience.
It's such a gift. I have
Yeah.
noticed that I have a 10-year-old. And so, I mean, really, ever since we started potty training, we've been in using this phrase, listen to your body.
Right.
And in doing this personal development work as well, that's something that I've been aware of and mindful of as well. So I've been listening to how I feel when I'm like in a new environment, or if I'm having a conversation with someone, or if someone else walks into a room in a public setting and you kind of like you feel the energy shift. So
Right.
I've been mindful of these outside forces and
Right.
what things are coming around, are being brought into my environment and
Right.
how my body responds.
Yeah.
But I haven't necessarily been paying attention to what I'm putting in and how my body responds.
Yeah, that part's been really interesting. And by increasing my protein, she was like, "You exercise every morning. Like you are not getting enough protein in your diet, and that is part of your problem." And so, talking about insulin levels and sugar spikes and things like that. And so, it's been fascinating. And especially having the journal, being able to go back to, when I started this 3.5 weeks ago and see the comments that I made about, you have to talk about your successes every day and your challenges every day. And what are you grateful for every day? And so it's actually very interesting. And what self-care have you done every day? So it is definitely like, recording all of those things. And it's interesting to see how much better I feel. I know I feel better, but it's also interesting to see it written down. And to see, I had a Super Bowl party and I made lentil soup and I was great with it. I was so fine with it. I didn't want the pizza at all because I was like, that is going to give me a stomach ache from here till tomorrow. And I know it will.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fine with it. And I made lentil soup and I was so happy. And I had a crudité and I was actually great. And people are like, my daughter's like, have some pizza. I'm like, I don't actually want the pizza because my stomach is going to be so unhappy that I eat the pizza that it's actually not worth it. Like the pain is
Right.
not worth it. It's just not like it
Exactly.
doesn't taste that good,
Right.
We were in Italy, it's made differently. And then it'd be a whole different story. But here in this country, that pizza gives me a stomach ache. So no go. So it's interesting. And it's like saying yes to you and that your health matters and that I'm willing to invest the time and the money and the resources to learn because it is time intensive, having to meet and having to learn and having to journal and having to write it all down and try new recipes and try new foods and see if you like them. It's definitely a commitment, but I've found it's been a great one.
Yes, I'm so glad that you've done that and said yes to yourself in that really big way that you get to continue to practice every day. And thank you
Yeah,
for sharing
it's
that
been
because
cool.
now
You're welcome.
I'm going to be more aware
You're
and
welcome.
write some
Yeah.
things down as well. And I think it's a great too that there are so many things that we can do on our own.
Yeah.
And there are definitely times when we need to call in an expert
Yeah.
and we want to really collapse the timeline between where we are
Right.
now and where we want to
Exactly.
be. It's
Right.
like,
And we
let's
don't have
just,
the knowledge or the skill set. And so sometimes
right,
it's okay to invest in obtaining that. I'm all for hiring coaches to help us if I'm going to be learning something that I can then carry on for myself, right? I don't want just to have someone do the work for me. I want to learn. And
right,
so I think when we have the opportunity to learn from the different people we bring in our lives, whether they're coaches or just people we interact with, that's a blessing.
totally. And then you're sharing the wealth here. So there are
Right.
so many
Exactly.
ripple effects.
Absolutely. Yes,
It's really
exactly.
great.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, so you also mentioned for your business and
Mhm.
your expanding platform. So say more about that. I talk about the book, talk about your
Sure.
fancy mic situation, which means there might be something else happening. Tell me all the things.
Yeah, so the fancy mic situation. So I wrote a book and I recorded the audio version of it. So you need this to record the audio version
I
of it.
love
So
it. Well,
that's
now
I
you
had
need to
to
start a podcast
I
because you have
am
a
going to
fancy
I'm going
mic.
to start a podcast in August. But yeah, you need all of this in order to actually effectively record an audiobook, of which I had no idea what I was doing, but I did learn how to do that. So my story. I spent 22 years in advertising sales and ran an advertising sales team. And I'm a single parent. My daughter's now 17. I've been a single parent ever since before she was born. And in January of 2020, so just over 4 years ago, I got fired
Mm,
from my nice big VP job. And I kind of realized at that time how much I defined myself by that job and that role and that salary also, which was nice. So I had to really figure out who am I going to be in life and what am I going to do? Because I was like, I'm 50. I've done this for 22 years. I'm going to have to work for another 20 years, guaranteed, as a single mom. Like that's happening. But what am I going to do? And I decided I did a lot of reflection. I had a coach. I read a ton of books, listened to a lot of things, did a lot of networking. And I just decided that I could work for another 20 years and have so much success that I can't even envision at the moment. So why not just jump in and do something I love? And interior design was what I loved. And so
mm,
I made a major career shift and signed up for 2 online interior design programs to get certified and started my business 4 months later. So in May of this year, it will be 4 years since I started my interior design business and had my own firm. And then about a year and a half ago, I also decided I was going to write a book. Um,
brilliant.
and so your say yes topic is so appropriate because I talk about that a lot because I had gotten an email. Somehow I had subscribed to something about being an author and writing. And I had always said, like, oh, someday I'll write a coffee table book. Because when you're a designer, it wouldn't be so cool to have your projects on someone's coffee table. That's like the dream, right? But I got this email and it kind of made me pause, and I read it, and it was an hour and a half free seminar about writing a book. And I kind of passed over it. And then the next day I went back to it and I was like, you know what? I have time on my calendar for that. I'm going to say yes to that. And I did. And I joined that Zoom call. And by the end of the hour and a half, I had mind mapped out, which is basically brainstorming, an entire book. Chapters, subjects, subchapter, like the whole book in an hour, like in the 15 minutes we had to brainstorm at the end, I had my whole book. So I committed right then and there that I was going to write a book, and I hired a coach to help me because I knew nothing about how to write a book. Just in the process, like how does one write and self-publish a book? I had
Sure.
absolutely no idea. And I committed that I was going to write every day from 5 to 6 p.m. and I was going to write every day. And I did. And a year later, I finished my book and I self-published my book. And that has been like the most transformational journey for me because I had no idea, A, that I had so much to say, B, that it could be of value to so many people because the response I've had to my book has been incredible. And then C, the path that that book has now taken me down from the number of people I've now met from all the podcasts that I do, because I do quite a few of them, and the articles that I've written and the businesses and the people that I've met that are in different industries from mine, but yet still love to be passionate about motivating people, inspiring people, and having a message. So I've met some of the most fantastic people. And I just feel so grateful every day that I get to talk about this and talk about my story and my lessons and meet people like you. Like, what could be better? This is amazing that this is my job. And I've heard you say this on your podcast. Like, it is amazing that this is my job. It really
Right.
is.
We're at work right now.
Right. We're at work. And this is
That's
amazing. I
crazy.
couldn't imagine doing anything more fun than this. And so, yeah, so now in June, I'm going to expand my brands and we're going to combine all of my passions into a lifestyle brand. So it's a wellness starts from within lifestyle brand, and it's a platform for women to help, create inspired action and make them feel powerful about becoming designers of their own lives, whether that be in their homes, in their interiors, or within themselves and their mindset. And they're making themselves a priority and life work balance. And, I've done a lot in corporate America and I have a lot of experience in a lot of different things. And so, there are lots of different ways to do things, but I found that people resonate with my story and enjoy how I share tips and tricks of things that they can try for themselves and paths I can send them down to find other experts that can help them with different things.
Right. Oh my
It's been
gosh.
fun.
It's so good.
It's been
Well,
so
even
fun.
as I was reading the introduction to your book, thank you for sending me a copy.
You're welcome.
And it's so interesting because you made this hand gesture that of course our listeners can't see. But when I was reading this, I was like, you are an interior designer and you are helping people be interior designers of creating the life they want, their own personal interior work, the inner work.
Yes.
And I love that. I love that I got that out
I love
of
that you got that too.
reading that, and I was so excited to tell you.
I love that you get that, because that kind of is it. And that's not what every interior designer does. And that's not what every wellness and mindset coach does. And so I just have a different perspective on it, because I can see, and I see things that people can't. I walk into people's homes and I can see how their homes can be and how their lives can be. And so my job in everything I do is to help them see that as a reality for themselves.
Oh, it's so good.
It's fun. I'm so fortunate.
Really
It's so
is.
fun. It's great.
And
Really,
it's
I'm so blessed. It's
right?
great. Yeah.
And it's wonderful how the situations that move us into the next iteration of our life, that maybe someone would say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you got fired. Where now in retrospect, you're like, that was the best thing that ever happened to
me. Right. Not the best thing that happened to my bank account, but the best thing, but money, the money comes, right? If you're working on something you love and you're working hard,
resource.
that is exactly true. And I say that all the time. And I say to people, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. And if you won't invest in yourself, who else is going to invest in your business idea? And so If you feel that you have a good business idea, invest in yourself and give yourself permission to try. And even if you fail, there's so much lesson in the journey. So don't look at it like you failed. That was like the path that got you to something else. Even if that ends up not being like the final career destination, it doesn't even matter. It's
Right.
about the journey.
I feel like the failing is in the not doing,
Right.
not in the
100%.
doing and not having it, break the internet or you made $1
100%.
million
Right.
the first time. I mean, that
Right.
doesn't happen.
No,
You,
no, the
you
failing is in not trying and not
exactly.
stretching yourself and not saying yes and not going for it. 2 feet in is all about jumping all in and not looking back and not doubting yourself and not letting the doubt and the self-talk, which is so negative, prevent you from taking risks and from trying things and stretching outside your comfort zone. Because how are you ever going to know what's possible if you don't jump in and try things?
100%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm so fortunate. I get to speak to people every single day who have done exactly what I've written about with their lives. And it's like, I know I'm not crazy. Like this is a
Nope.
definite way to live life. Like I see people all the time that are so successful this way. Like this is, and most entrepreneurs have a very similar mindset to how they go about what they do. And not every business idea succeeds, but a whole lot of them do.
Right. And they just give you information. It's not failure, it's feedback.
Correct.
It's like, oh, I'm just going to do that again, but I'm going to do this tweak.
Just tweak it a little.
Or
Right.
I'm like,
Exactly.
no, that sounded fun, but it actually wasn't. I'm not going
Right.
to do that
Exactly.
again.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Right. Like that sounded like a good idea. And
Right. It's like
yeah.
very unattached
Yep.
to the ideas and
Right.
of course to the outcome.
To
I
the
am
outcome.
also unattached
Right.
because God has 1,000 times better idea for how
Right.
things are going to work out than I do. But I know that my role is to take the inspired action. So if I have an idea, let's just
Go
throw it
for it.
out there.
Right. And see what happens and see if
Right,
it sticks.
right. I had an
And that,
idea this week
there you go.
about having a travel membership,
Ooh,
which has
cool.
been fun because I lead these trips and I also have a venue.
Right.
So I thought, oh, well, what if I just plan 4 trips a year and 2 of them are
Yeah.
domestic and 2 of them are international. And I have all these itineraries, so we can be doing this. And then, so I've been thinking about that. And then
Fun.
I've received 2 invitations just this week from people that own properties, one in Italy, one in Croatia, that want
Wow.
me to bring groups there. And I
Right.
thought,
Yeah.
oh,
You're like, ooh, those are
now
those emails that make you pause and
that's
think,
right.
ooh, I'm maybe I'm supposed to pay attention to these. There might be
And
something going on here.
right, what if this travel
Mhm.
membership was like really available for beta testing
Right.
new venues where
Right.
everyone just had this lower expectation but heightened curiosity
Right. Yeah.
of, ooh, is this
Hmm.
something that Wendy could offer? Like they're my team now.
Right.
We're like
Right.
figuring this
Exactly.
out. It's all R&D,
Yeah.
which is my whole life. Every day is R&D and I'm
Right.
just so here
So
for
fun.
it.
Have
Yeah,
you
and
you
who
have to
knows
read
if
this
it'll work?
book. Have you read the book 10x is easier than 2x?
No, but that sounds
Oh,
accurate.
it is a must read,
Okay, thank
especially
you.
for entrepreneurs and business executives. Changed it really changed my life and how I view my future.
That's
10x
fantastic.
is easier than 2x. Incredible
Perfect.
book.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Can't
We will
recommend it
link
enough.
that in the show notes
Yeah.
as well.
And
Thank
you'll
you
read it, you'll
so
be like,
much.
oh my goodness, I get it now. I see why, because you're already starting with the 10x idea, even though you don't have like where you are yet. Your
Oh,
brain
yeah.
is already out there in the 10x. And if that's what you put your energy towards is the 10x and don't worry about the steps in between and how you
Oh,
get
yeah.
there, it's actually so much easier than just trying to double where you are right now. The book
100%.
is brilliant. It makes
I
so much
am
sense.
an idea factory
Yeah.
and I am the how is not my responsibility.
Right.
That's not
Good.
on my list. Like I'm
Right.
just like, oh, I was in meditation. That sounds like
Right.
a good idea.
You're
Let
like,
me
that's good.
say that out loud a few times and see how it lands and then
See
see
what
what
sticks.
comes
Right.
to me.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then I'm just here for it. I'm here for all of
Mhm.
it. And just in case anyone listening thinks, oh, but what about her farm? Oh, what about she wants to move different? Yeah, all that too.
All of the above,
All
right?
of the
Yes,
above.
yes.
I
I'm
am the
not saying that
land.
that's in exchange for the others. I still want all
Mm-mm.
of those too, and there's no reason why you can't
No,
have them all.
no. And we are
No,
the deliberate creators of our lives. And there are so many key words in that title: deliberate, I'm paying
yes,
attention, and creator.
correct,
I am in creation mode every day, all day long. That's what brings me joy. There's not just one destination. Oh, I
right,
wanted to be a mom. Now I'm a mom. So now
right.
I'm done. No,
Yeah,
now I
no,
want to do all these fun things
all
with
these other
her.
things, right?
Right.
Exactly,
And I
because there's
want to
so
have,
many other things.
I
Yes,
want to have property here in Massachusetts. I want to have property in France. Those are
right,
just the two places I know about right now.
right.
But,
Who
and it's,
knows? Croatia might get on the list too. You
you
never know.
never
You go to these other
know.
places, all of a sudden you might feel like, oh wow, I'm really into this in these other places too.
Right? And it's not to have it for myself, it's to share it
Share it with
with
others.
other people. I just
Correct.
need more guest rooms and a
Right.
longer table. That's
Correct.
all I'm here
Right.
for.
And you're creating what I love about what you're doing is you're creating experiences.
Mhm.
And I think creating experiences is so important. And I do feel like since COVID, that part has stuck.
Yeah.
Like I create experiential living from people's homes, but I feel like people more and more value the experience they can have
Mhm.
with another person, and that's how they connect with people is through experience. So I think that's such a special thing to be trying to design and create and develop is experiences. People love that. Who
And I
doesn't?
try to make them an easy yes. So
Right.
using
Yeah.
all of my wedding planning
Yeah. Right.
experience
Yeah.
to, I've thought of all the details. It sounds easy because
Right.
your part is,
Right.
but all the rest of the things have already happened for you.
Right. Right. Love it.
It's so good. Okay, so
So good.
tell me, I mean, beside the title of the book is brilliant, 2 feet
Thank
in.
you.
I love that. Tell me more about just the trajectory of the book, how people can move through that. What are you hoping that the reader comes away with?
Yeah, so that's such a good question. So the book, for people who haven't read it, is structured into 4 different sections. And I align those 4 sections with how you build a house. And so you start with your foundation, and then you have your framing, and then you have your finished work, and then you have your design. And so it also aligns chronologically with me growing up as the foundation, and we go along. And then I'm now in the design phase right now of my life. And that same analogy, what's so interesting is I've spoken to, business groups before. You can use that same analogy, even if you're just talking about your career or you're talking
Mhm.
about a relationship or you're talking about your health. It's like, if you don't love your job right now, really think about the foundation of what it is that you don't like. And it might actually be that you are no longer excited by that line of work. And then that means your foundation's cracked. So if you don't
Mhm.
fix your lack of excitement about that line of work, it doesn't matter what company you go to work for, it's still going to be the same. You're still going to have a crack in your foundation. So, my book reads like a self help book that meets some business skills that meets a novel.
Mm,
There's a little bit of a romance twist that flows throughout the book, so it reads like a novel. I've been told that it reads like somebody is sitting down having coffee and reading a story to you while you have a cup of coffee, because it's very
beautiful.
conversational. I talk a lot about mindset, the importance of mindset, the importance of making yourself a priority, the importance of questions to ask yourself to really dig into finding out what makes you feel at peace. One of my biggest takeaways from the book for people is recognizing that we shouldn't be chasing happiness. Happiness ebbs and flows. We should be chasing inner peace. And if
Mm,
you can have inner peace in your life, then that will change your life in every way, because every day is not sunshine and roses. It doesn't matter how great your career is or how amazing your relationship is. Every day is not sunshine and roses. Life is hard. But if you can have inner peace, you can move through the ebbs and flows much more gracefully. So it's fun. And then there's a whole chapter in there that talks about wellness and interior design, and how I work with my clients and how I bring wellness to the interior design process, and questions and things that people can think about, such as one of my most important messages to people is everyone needs a space in their home where they can go and let their brain breathe. and take a pause. And so I design reading nooks in every project that I do. It's like, where are you going to go and sit where there's this invisible do not disturb sign around you? And it can be a chair, it can be a bench in a hallway, it can be a pillow on the floor next to a bed if it's an apartment. It can be absolutely anywhere, but it's a place where you create a ritual and where you have a space and where your brain knows that when you sit in that space, it's just time to breathe and it's time to pause. And you can journal there, you can meditate there, you can listen to music, you can write, you can read, you can just look out the window if you want and look at nature. But as you do it for a while, your brain realizes that sitting in that space, it leads to the result of it's time for the brain to take a breath and it's time for the mind to quiet itself a little bit. And it's amazing once you start to do that, how you become addicted to that feeling. And it's like, people who meditate are like, I need to meditate every day to give myself that, right? But it's recognizing for people that you can create these little spaces of wellness within your home, no matter how big or small your home is, where you can start to think about your environment better, differently, and have your environment give back to you a little bit more by creating these spaces for yourself for wellness.
I
So
love
it's fun.
that. It's beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
how are you hoping that this rebranding and expansion project, what are you envisioning that's going to change through that process and expanding your platforms?
Yeah, so I think the reach changes a lot because then you're not so siloed.
Mhm.
So all of your marketing messaging, the marketing messaging for the book goes into one channel, and the marketing message for interior design business goes into another. And when I launch a podcast, it goes into another. And when I talk about speaking and coaching, that goes into another channel. And so it's trying to not fragment it all and show people how it can be all connected. And you don't have to interact with my platform on every level that I provide ways for you to interact with this concept. But you might choose that, oh, I want to have you design a home, but I also want to read your book, or I want to listen to your podcast weekly, or I want to read your blog, or I'm really interested in having you come into my organization and do some coaching. And so it's trying to put it all under one umbrella that really simplifies it, not just from like an execution perspective. Right now I manage 3 websites and it's like, it's just too much,
Right.
but it's all tied to, it's really having to take a look at what is the bigger 10x goal. And if the bigger 10x goal, and why did I write the book? I wrote the book to hopefully motivate and inspire women to take action to improve their lives in one small way or another on any subject that you can imagine in a life, because I cover all of the subjects and I give tips and tools for all subjects. And so it's like the lifestyle platform brand has that same exact mission, is to empower women and also to build a community, because that's been one of the things I've found from the book as a result of the book that I had no idea was going to come out of it, is this community of people that I have now met in the podcasting world, in the self-help world, in the motivation world, and in the business world, and in the design world, because I do interior design podcasts too. And so the community that I have met and the networking with that community, I was like, wow, you know what? We all still really want community. We want a place where we can go and interact with content and potentially with people who are like us and make us feel like we're okay. And I do talk about that in the beginning of the book. I talk about, like, I am writing this also so people don't feel alone. And people say there are lots of parts of my story, especially how I was raised, that people can relate to, or through my marriages. I've been divorced twice, or through
Me
my
too.
career challenges.
Welcome.
Right.
Welcome to the
Yeah,
club.
exactly. And I say that proudly. I say my age proudly everywhere on a public platform. And the career changes I've made, and being, the only woman at the executive table for many, many years, having to choose a job over being a mother, and that whole balance and the struggle with that, and how do you define yourself, like all of it that we all go through at various stages. And so I think people want to feel like they're not alone with their struggles. And so by building a lifestyle brand and a platform, it enables me to create that type of environment over time where that can happen for women.
Well, I'm really excited to watch what's
Thank
next. Yeah, so
Me too.
please, I know it's
It's
going to
like
be
you plant the seed and
exciting.
then you're like, huh, okay, well, now I got to
Right.
figure out how to build that. But okay.
Grow, grow, grow. Nope, the how is not your responsibility.
Right. And to your point, say yes, because people come across your path. So the woman who I hired who has helped me with my branding actually lives in Denmark and I live in Connecticut. And she was a guest on a podcast that I was a guest on. And before I do podcasts, I always go back and listen to, like the last 2 or 3 episodes that the person has posted, just so I see, what they're talking about most recently and questions and things like that. And I watched her podcast on YouTube, and you can appreciate this. I sat there and I was like, you are my person. Like, I just know it
Right?
right now. You are my person to help me with the next phase of my journey. And she's amazing. We work together. We spend hours together every week on this project. And every day I am so grateful for her, because I'm like, you have come to me because I listened to this
Right?
podcast and I was like, maybe I'm supposed to talk to this woman, like I had this like
Yes.
out there idea like you do. And I was like, and then I started to talk to her and I was like, oh my goodness, wow. Like, you can
Right?
really help me bring this to life. And we connected spiritually. Like, the first 5 minutes we were on the phone with each other, we knew, like, I was like, we will be
Yep.
friends for life, friends for
It's
life.
so good. And that's how it happens when we are in this posture of allowing and not trying to make something or figure it out or figure it out.
Right.
We
Letting
don't
it
have
come,
to.
being
Like
open
you
to it
were
coming.
you were
Yeah.
just doing your homework for the podcast, and this curveball came in that you were not looking for, but you were available to allow it in. And then, of course, it's better than anything. You would have been vetting people to
Oh,
for
it
such
was
a
like,
long
it was so
time.
meant to be. And I'm like, you are life altering, because she has
Right,
pushed me and challenged me and really like made me think deeply about myself and my purpose here and my mission and why do I want to do what I want to do. And I mean, like, deep, deep questions that a basic
so
branding
good.
agency is not going to deliver to the table. But because of her background in coaching and spirituality and mindset, she like forces me and she pokes but it's all great because it really makes me really think and meditate about and let the right thing come my way. And then when it does, we're so aligned. It's
Right.
amazing.
So,
It's
of course, it's going to
Yeah,
work.
it's truly unbelievable. Right.
All of these details do not fall into place for this not to work.
That's
That
exactly
is
what I say. Right.
not how
Like,
it goes.
it's just right. And to your point about when it's easy, we had this conversation earlier. Like, when it's easy, it's easy.
Yeah.
And like, when it's hard, it's hard. And with her, it is so easy. She will
Mhm.
get on the phone and she'll show me a slide. I'm like, oh my goodness, you get me. Like, you just
Oh,
wrote, like, you got it. You got the whole vision right there in one paragraph of
right,
everything I want to do in life. And
right.
I'm like, look how easy that was. Look at that. Amazing.
And when we are ready, love will be just that easy.
That is very true. Everything in life can be like that when it's the right
Everything.
time. When it's the
Mhm.
right time. Yep. Yeah. And when you've cleared out the space for it to be there.
Right. And
Yeah.
and it will be just like listening to a podcast,
Exactly. It'll be
right?
easy. Right.
It's
Like
so
just going for a walk
wonderful,
on a Saturday. It'll be
right?
easy. Yeah.
Even the way that I was introduced to you through your booking agent,
Hmm.
I get a lot of pitches for people to be on the podcast, and they are not typically aligned. It's
Right.
very form letter. It's
Yeah.
very this sweet woman who has her thing is houseplants. And
Right.
so she would, and I'm like, oh,
Right.
actually,
Yeah.
that's not a
You're
good
like, that's
fit.
not going to do it. That's
I
not big enough
don't,
for what
I
right.
don't
My audience
like
doesn't care.
well,
Right.
and I don't like houseplants. I don't need another creature that is relying on me to keep it alive.
Stay alive.
Like I'm full. I have a
Yeah.
farm, I have a child, I have chickens.
Like, I'm
It's
good.
yeah, and I'm
Not
one
your It's not
person.
your jam right now. It's
It
okay.
is not. And so to receive this email from the firm that is getting you
Right.
on podcast, I
Yep.
really loved that they actually did their homework. I love that they connected me to you. I responded with gratitude and appreciation for that compared
Right.
to what I've experienced in the past. And he gave me two other people. One I just interviewed last week, and she's going to come do a farm stay here at the bed and
Love it.
breakfast and wants to host a retreat here. Like,
So great, right?
okay.
I have met some of the most wonderful people from them, and
Yes.
they are just the smartest, kindest, grounded group of young men. They're all men who work there, and they are young. They are smart. They totally get mindset, manifestation, creating. Like, they were so aligned when I spoke to them about what types of podcasts I wanted to be on, because I was very specific. I don't want to just talk to anybody, right? It has to be a message that aligns with my larger platform and my larger messaging and things I'm passionate about. Saying yes in life, I'm very passionate about. Like, that's perfect.
Right.
And they are so in tune, and all of them. I think the oldest guy there is 33 years old. And
Oh
I'm
my
like, I feel
gosh, I
old.
love
I
it.
feel old when I talk to them, but they have connected me with some of the kindest humans I have ever met. It is unbelievable,
I love
really.
that.
And
I
it's
love.
so great because, and they're just good guys who love what they do for a living. Like, they are passionate about their platform and what they do. And they are passionate about connecting people, and they are passionate about learning, and they are passionate about self-improvement and business and growth and human beings. And it shows. It's amazing.
Yes.
So I'm so glad to hear that, because those guys are so great. Really.
Just let it be easy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's our
And they do.
takeaway.
They let everything be so easy. And I'm always happy to recommend them to any new authors, or, people who are trying, even people who just have questions about the publishing space. And like I said, they've just connected me to some amazing humans, just amazing humans, a business set aside, amazing people,
So
which has been fun.
fabulous.
And that's why we were like, oh, wow, I'm on this really cool journey. Look at this. This is
Right?
so great. How fortunate am I?
Right?
Versus, sitting in an office, plugging away at a computer, being like, I really hate my job.
Right.
Which
And you
sadly is what a
are,
lot of people are doing.
and they're moving somebody else's dream
Right.
ahead.
Correct.
And for
That's
some
very well
people,
said.
like, that's a total great fit.
Right.
And for others, it's not. And
Right.
when you
And that's
realize
so well
it's
said.
not, then
Yeah.
you got to go.
Move on. Then it's your
It's
time to
so
do something
good.
else. Right.
Oh my
I
goodness.
love it.
Okay. I have loved this conversation. Thank you so much. I could easily talk to you all day long.
It's been
Please
so much
tell
fun.
everyone where they can find the book, how they can follow you, how they can be in your world and ready for the platform that will dominate
Big world.
the
Right.
space coming soon.
So my book is called 2 Feet In, Lessons from an All-in Life. You can find it on Amazon. It's available in hardcover. I just released it in paperback. It is available as an ebook, and the audiobook is out. So anywhere you would get an audiobook, you can listen to me talk for 5.5 hours, which I'm told is actually pretty entertaining, and grab a cup of coffee and sit down, and it's great. And then I'm very active on Instagram. So my handle is at Jermar Designs. So it's JERMAR_designs. And that name will just change. It'll be the same account, but it'll change when I update and launch the larger brand. So, and people can find me online at jermardesigns.com. And my book is there, and, my blog, everything is all there. So, and that the newer platform is called the House of Jermar. So look for it when it comes out
Perfect.
later
And
this
will
year.
you please explain the story behind the name of your
Yes.
business?
So Jermar, so it's JERMAR, and that is named after my father and my stepmother, who are chronicled in the book quite a bit and were very impactful in my life. And so Jerry and Mary, so it's the first 3 letters of both of their names make up my business. So they are with me every day on everything I do. And there are days that I cry because my stepmother's passed away, and she was my best friend. And so there are days that I'm like, look at what I'm doing. Like,
She
which
is
is
with
really,
you.
it's cool. And it's nice to have a business name that actually really means a lot to me, and is really impactful. And so it just makes my platform that much more unique, with the story behind why it is that and what does it mean.
I love that, Jeanne. Thanks for
Thank you.
sharing.
Oh,
This
thank you,
has
Wendy, so
been
much
so
for having me.
lovely.
This has been so much fun to talk to you. And we could sit down and have coffee for hours. So
And we're close enough that we can make that
close that
happen.
we could. I know, right?
So
I love it.
fun. So
I love it.
fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site, or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wrighthouse and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.